So
I will do a small introduction of yours, and then you may take the session. Okay.
okay, yeah.
All right. So hello everyone. We have Snezana Boskovic with us. She is from Serbia. Snezana believes in learning and her versatility, which has led her to accomplish the challenging tasks. She is well known for her project management, capacity building, training, and personal development. Not only this has um, explained her as herself as a diversified person, but she had also a strong track record in negotiation, lobbying, and advocacy. Shlezana is recognized for her mentorship and supervisions, giving individual support, and being a member of assessment committees. She has developed advanced skills in preparation and implementation of public and media events, conferences, and training programs, having in mind the principles and ethics of working in different target groups. Besides this, she has senior experience in working with different community target groups and individuals in the region and abroad, mainly targeting post-conflict areas. Thank you, Shnezana, for your time, and over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mahin, for this introduction. I'm sorry because I'm being a little bit late, because I'm kind of confused sometimes with this Pakistani time and European time. So it's really my fault. I will, if you have time, I will prolong this webinar, this session for 5, 6, or 7 more minutes if you are going to be interested to listen, of course. I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to talk to you all. What I understood is that you are interns or very important program for you. So it is my honor to be someone that can influence your development in some way. So our topic today is conflict. Let's say it's a huge topic. And I just divided it in several smaller topics. So I would like, just in the beginning, I would like to give you introduction what I was supposed to talk about it today. So I would like to talk to you, what is your perception of conflict? Do you have negative or positive association when someone says conflict? Is it a quarrel? Is it a discussion? Or do you feel it like a war? Why people usually perceive conflict like something negative and something to be avoided? I know a lot of people that are not so used to get into the conflict, but they would rather put it under the carpet and try to avoid the conflict, having in mind that it will somehow disappear, which will not happen, of course. What shall we do with the emotion in conflict? When we feel that we have a conflict with somebody or with ourselves, there are usually loads of emotions. So sometimes those emotions are not constructive for us. So we cannot be so rational and lead the conflict to be constructive. So what to do in those moments? How do we transform conflict? And what can we learn from it? When I say transformation of conflict, so that means that how can we from something unpleasant transform to a constructive situation from where we all go as winners? What are conflict resolution skills? Do we have to have certain life skills to deal with conflict, or is it easy for everybody? Okay, so why should I today talk about this topic with you? Mahin gave you a short introduction of my background. I would just like to say a few more things about me. I was studying pedagogy here in Serbia, but I also finished, graduated in Sweden at Faculty of Education and Communication, where I was specialized to work with young people who were living in post-conflict areas. So one of the part of my internship was in Belfast, which is the part of the city in Northern Ireland, which is the part of the United Kingdom. So maybe some of you heard from Belfast. So it is the city, the environment that is dealing with conflicts for dozens of years. Even now, there are walls in the city, so people are divided according to their religion. So, for example, Catholics live in one area of the city. There is a wall long for 2 kilometers, and behind the wall there is an area of people who are Protestants, for example. So I was working there for 3 months, working with young people, their families, the host families, etc. So that was a life-changing experience for me. So to learn how do people live in conflict for years? What did they do to make it, let's say, livable? Okay. So today I work, I lead the Department of Human Resources and software development company. And sometimes I have opportunities to mediate between people who are in conflict. And then I have to make, let's say, good conditions for them to talk, to understand each other, and then to try themselves to resolve the situation of conflict. Okay. So I talked too much in for the beginning. We have only 1 hour, but if you like, we can in some time in cooperation with Mahin, maybe have something similar. I'm very sorry that I wasn't involved in past 3 months into this WomenAscension mentorship because I was sick of COVID, and then my kid was sick of COVID, and we have a lot of family issues that I couldn't be involved, but I'm happy that I'm today with all of you. So for the beginning, you know me, so I'm Snezana, I'm 45 years old, I have a daughter, she is 13. Besides my full-time job, I like to walk, to climb, to do yoga, and to write. So now I would like to hear more about you guys. So maybe just a sentence or two. I would like you to introduce to me, to say your name, what do you do at the moment, what are your interests, and then we can go on. Okay? So just any one of you can start, and then I will not force anyone to talk, but I would like to know with who I'm talking about. And I will be so grateful if you can turn on your cameras if you want. So it's easier when you see people with whom are you talking to, but I will leave that with you. Okay, so who's first?
May I start?
Yes, of course, please.
Mirafida Karim from Pakistan. I'm doing my B.Ed from Karachi University. Now I am doing internship with WomenAscension.
Great. Okay, cool. So what is your main interest, Rafida? So what is your dream job? Let's say it like that. What would you like? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. I want to become a good teacher because as a teacher, I give my knowledge and my time for my community and my society. My interesting area is education and community.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, who's next?
May I go next?
Okay, Rigoberto.
Yes. So my name is Rigoberto. I am from Timor-Leste. Currently I'm doing my bachelor degree in international relations. I'm really interested in topics related to diplomacy, conflict resolution, peace studies. So in the future, I would like to be a diplomat because I think it's relevant to my field of study, international relations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think that, yes, the conflict resolution skills could be maybe the key skill for you when you're a diplomat. So yes, thank you for recognizing that. Okay, good. Okay, who do we have next? Sadia, Saira, Lillian.
Hello, Sankum.
Hello. Dania.
Yes.
Hello. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I was preparing for my Javi, so that it take time.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I am Dania Munir from Pakistan and I'm from Karachi. I am a student of psychology, currently in third year of my university. I have been trying hard to deal with this concept of psychology, with this, not with the concept, with this passion, with this passion of mine with psychology, to implement these ideas of psychology in somewhat when I'm interacting and when I'm writing, or when I am doing something that gives me a desire to seek more about psychology. So talking about my interests, so I am very fond of writing and journaling, and I am fond of painting and creating content. I have my Instagram account where I post about stuff like emotions and ideas and human psychology. And
Wow.
other than that, I am mostly trying to deal with this state of being unproductive and being a productive person. So that's something that I really struggle with. Yeah, and that's all about me.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. It was so interesting to listen to you. I will just give you a few insights of what I've heard about you. So I'm so happy to hear that you have so many interesting things. And then I love the word, the passion. So somehow that tells me that you will bring psychology into everyday life. So it will help you to deal with everyday people, with your relationships in the family, in partnerships. And since you have so many interests, you can put it in your psychology work. So you can you can use your skills with writing in psychology. So you can do with your clients, sharing some creative techniques and stuff like that. So somehow it sounds to me like being very good psychologist in the future.
Yeah, when I start my bachelor's in psychology, I was a bit confused whether to choose clinical psychology to be my future career, or to be an educational psychologist, because I feel like being a therapist is something that not completely goes with my personality and not with the traits of the person that I am. But somehow I think that the disorders and the neurotic and psychotic traits and behavior that a person hold is something that inspired me, and is something that keeps me to know more about them. But on the other hand, I like to do something or study those positive aspects, positive and a potential aspect of human that they carry,
I understand.
rather than psychotic and neurotic. So I feel like I'm a bit confused what to choose, what type of psychologist
Okay.
I want to be in in future.
I just want you to say that it is so okay and so normal at this stage to be so confused, because just now you are exploring the whole world of psychology. So you cannot be sure at this point.
Exactly.
And whatever you start, whatever you decide to work on, is it educational psychology or industrial psychology or clinical psychology, I would tell you to be open, because maybe your interests would change with years as well. So if you choose educational psychology, who knows, maybe in 2 or 3 years you want to start with some uh, therapist school, for example Gestalt or Rept or something like that, and that would not be opposite. So we'll just upgrade your knowledge. So stay open to change your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
moreover, it's something apart from being passionate about psychology subjects and psychology courses, I feel like I'm more into research work. Like I'm trying and I am experiencing this new type of emotion or new type of desire
Mm.
to to work in the field of research, to do some research
Yeah.
work or researches on the topic of psychology, topic of emotions, topic of behavioral psychology, neurotic.
Yeah, so many topics in psychology. Of course, it's good to have a base. It's good to
Yeah,
have
but
a ground base. Mm.
but I don't have much knowledge about these research methodologies, research design. Because I am a confused type of a person who always wanted to cover. Like I'm a type of a person who wanted to study everything,
I
and
know.
in that
Mm.
case, I cannot just like I cannot just do cover few things and left half of the things. I'm like cover all of the things that I can cover. And my potential is like to
I
cover
know.
everything
I
in a
know.
one shot, which
Yeah.
in result causes a very confused or very mixed type of stuff that I cannot put up with, that I cannot show up with the people, show up to the
Yeah.
people.
Okay. So my recommendation to you is try to accept the stage of confusion. Try to accept the place where you are at the moment, because you are exploring. Just try to think it like that, and don't be too hard for to yourself, because you're not so determined. You don't know. I mean, I'm 45 and sometimes I don't know what would I like to be when I
Yeah,
grow up,
exactly.
you know.
Humans are so complex. I guess
Of
human beings
course.
in their brain and their mind, the way the mind works is so complex. It's not like we can one day we feel like, yeah, I can do all of these things and I am so like full of energy, full potential. And the next day, the next few weeks, like there's no motivation to work on. There's no
Of
motivation.
course. Yeah, and that's what I also want to reply on, and we will finish this first call of you. So also people are have a habit to be very rude to ourselves, because we like the feeling where we are productive, so everything goes fine and we do a lot and we write a lot and we are very productive, and then another day we feel like lazy or unproductive, and we are um, hating ourselves, and we
Yeah,
cannot we cannot stand that feeling that, oh my god, I'm so lazy today. But it is okay, because we have
we need
to
to
learn to
accept that thing.
accept the whole of us, you know, because when you are productive you can do things like that. So when you are not, give yourself time and read some book or have a walk, and accept the state of your body and mind in that moment. And you know it will go away. It will not last forever. But that is also us. One side, other side, so many us inside. But yes, with years, we are also learning how to accept that. Okay, thank you, Dania, very much for this introduction.
Thank you so much.
Okay, You're welcome. So who do we have next?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Lillian.
How are you? How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. I'm Lillian from Lebanon. My
Okay.
interest is the human rights. I'm business management graduate, but I took courses in human and child rights from Geneva University in highest distinction. And my dream job is to work in my in human and child rights in any NGO. But yes, that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Very nice and very similar to actually what did I do 20 years ago. I was very active in NGOs. I also had an internship in a one trauma center for victims of sexual abuse, and I was also working with the in a field of prevention of HIV and AIDS and drug prevention. So I was working a lot with the in the topic of human rights and protecting human rights in the area of, let's say, health issues.
Hopefully that I find that job here in Lebanon, but I don't think so. But I will try.
Yes, of course. Maybe you can start with your own initiative. Think about it that you done. I mean, if it is possible, sometimes people try to find a job somewhere else and looking other organization where they can join, but also maybe it's possible for you to think about your own initiative. So if you recognize the problems in Lebanon that maybe are not covered so well, and with the support of your university or organization from other countries, maybe you can think about your own initiative, gather volunteers around you and work on the topic that you find important. Did you think about it?
I'm thinking about it, but I don't think so. Here in Lebanon, it's a tough situation here. They don't know how human rights is and the child right is. They don't know their rights.
Yeah, so for as I understand you, people first have to be informed about their rights. Sometimes that's the ground zero step. Informing,
yes.
Getting aware of what are human rights, how come that we have them, who gave us human rights, who has human rights, are those women or children or men or everybody, and why. So yes, that would be maybe the main step for you and your let's say supporters, to try to think about activities that are let's say intelligently made, so that you go slightly and easily into your community. So you have to think about the steps, because I cannot tell you, paste it to the Lebanon. I would be a fool if I would tell you that. But you know the culture, you know the tradition, you know the manners, the education of the people. So for the first time, you have to do a kind of research. What would be the best methodology of how to inform people about the human rights?
Yes, but here in Lebanon, it's a tough situation. Nobody knows about it. They don't know what is their rights on, or they don't respect that.
Yeah.
Now I'm working in an NGO, artificial intelligence,
Okay.
machine learning. But also there is I'm not satisfied.
Yeah, understand. Maybe you can make a kind of mobile application.
Yes, I know how.
Yes, maybe artificial intelligence and the place that you are working on now, maybe you can think about if people use phones in Lebanon, or if you think that they can, through internet, get those information, maybe some application would be the easiest way for the beginning. Maybe simple one just for the beginning, just give 3 main things, or make it like a quiz, you know, or like a game. So start with young people, because they have to be taught in early stage about human rights.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sure.
Okay.
Thank you
good.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for talking. Okay. And we have more people. Does anyone want to talk about himself, herself? Okay. I will not push anyone. So if you want, at any time, please just stop me and interrupt me and ask question, or put the question in the chat box, so I will read it. In the meantime, I would like to tell you something about the conflict, and I would try to make it constructive for you. So it will not be a lecture. Rather, I made it like kind of tips or questions that can make you think about it. So I cannot teach you about conflict, and I cannot give you skills in 35 minutes. But what my intention is to give you some questions. So after this webinar, you can think about the conflict from other perspective, to raise new questions that maybe you didn't think about it before this webinar. So if we do it, if you ask me, I will be so happy. And of course, you can reach my contact through Nilam or Mahin. So you can always find me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Also, Mahin can give you, or Nilam, my email address. So if you find useful to talk to me, discuss some point, or I don't know, ask for my experience, so maybe it can give you perspective, how in any way, I'm very, very open for that. So, okay. So what is conflict for you? So I stated here, is it a quarrel or a war? When I say that quarrel, it is also something not nice. So people have quarrels. So there are some emotions, there are in conflict. But actually, conflict, the origin of conflict lies in some different opinions. So conflict rise when people have different opinions. So when you point it like that, there has nothing to do with negative feelings or associations. But usually when people have different opinions, we want to tell to that another one that our opinion is good and that another one is bad. So then we start to quarrel. So we don't do this like, okay, I hear you and I hear you, and it is okay that you think like this and I think like that, and we stay there. But people usually, especially if they don't have some conflict resolution skills, they want to persuade the other one that they are right. And you know, as long as you try to say to someone else that he or she is wrong, as much that person wants to say that he or she is right. And then starts a quarrel. And usually it is really negative and somehow pretty tense, and you feel this big elephant in the room, and usually you would like to escape, to go away, and to stop the conflict. I have something. Okay, so Mahin just put, yes, my LinkedIn link in the chat box, so you have there. Great, we can continue. For me, usually when I was educated, when I heard things about conflict, the huge thing for me was when some of my mentors and professors told me that you don't have to quarrel. That first thing that you have to do is to listen to the other side. So that's why usually it is good to have a mediator when you have a professional situation. So you are at your, let's say, studies, at the faculty, at meeting, or any professional situation, and you feel that you cannot deal the conflict with another person, you should ask for a mediator. So that person will lead the situation. What I usually do is that first I ask people to say their stories. So, for example, let's have a situation of conflict. One of my colleagues said that he spoke to the boss, and boss promised him that they will have a meeting on Tuesday, 3 o'clock, and boss didn't appear. And it happens. It became a kind of routine, which is not good. So with the time, my colleague didn't address that problem to the boss, but he started to feel bad, unsatisfied, thinking about leaving the organization. But he didn't want to tell the boss what's the problem, but he came to me. And I said, okay, I am not, the shoulder for crying. I have to encourage the person to make to resolve the conflict himself or herself. So I said, okay, did you spoke to the boss? He said, oh no, he's always busy, he will not try to listen to me, he never listens and stuff like that. Okay, and I said, I will appoint a meeting and we will sit and talk. And he said, well, okay. So at that meeting with the boss and my colleague, my boss said like that, okay, say what's the problem. So he started with really kind of an attitude position. So he started to talk like someone who is above that person. And then I got there and I said, okay, calm down. Let's start from the beginning. Let's listen what the colleague has to say. Okay. And then he said, what was the problem for him? He said that he is sorry that they had an appointment and the boss didn't appear and stuff like that. And my boss just stood for the moment and he said, oh my God, I'm so sorry for that. I really didn't know that it bothers you so much. I was so busy and I had some clients and I have 4 kids and I have to help my wife and I have to leave the office at 5 o'clock and to go to the kindergarten. And I'm so sorry that I didn't let you know that I cannot be there at the meeting. And then my colleague said, the situation somehow got down. The elephant, the tension which was between the two of them, it was like you put the eagle to the balloon, it just went away. So they started to breathe. It was like, oh, I didn't know. So the first step in a conflict resolution is to hear both sides. If you don't have a mediator there, try to mediate yourself and try to set the rules at the beginning. So, okay, we have a kind of, I usually don't call the problem a problem. I say, we have a situation here. We have a situation here and we have to talk about it. Can we first talk about what we think and what happened? That is very important, because people usually start with interpretations, something like, oh, you are so lazy, you are so unresponsible, I cannot wait for you anymore, I gave you to do this, but you didn't came on time, or you didn't call me that you are finished, I'm waiting for you, or stuff like that. So people are kind of, they judge easily. They judge easily. And when you judge someone, that person, and one that happened, oh no, you're not right, I'm responsible, I just couldn't do it. Stop doing that. So the first step is, let's talk about what happened. Try to describe the situation. So make it the conversation, not the quarrel, not the sides in a war. So if you came there to talk, so that means that you are friendly, that your emotions are pleasant, that you have a will to resolve something. So you can start with, this is very important to me. So that's why I would like to talk to you about this situation. That's why I don't want to be silent about this. I don't want to avoid this, because with time, you suppress those emotions. And with time, you have a stomachache, you have, those feelings are being suppressed in your organism, in your body. And with time, it will start to hurt in many different ways. And you will say, oh my God, why I have back pain, or what is happening with my chest, or something like that. But usually it is a kind of psychosomatic problems, that the emotion that you are suppressing at some point are starting to hurt. So don't do that to yourself, because usually one or two conversations resolve everything. So I'm not giving, the huge, let's say, importance to conversation. It doesn't mean that every conversation will help your situation and resolve the conflict. But, for example, first, we would like to talk about what happened. Would you like to start, or I should start? So, you say what happened. You describe the situation. So, you say about it something like, okay, I feel like this because this is what happened. I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm not sure that you know that. Or people perceive things differently. Like the situation that I talked to you about my colleague and my boss. He didn't know that this is so hard for my colleague. For somebody else, it would be nothing. For me, I will not feel bad because he didn't appear at meetings, because I understand, I know how busy he is. But when I really want him to be there at the meeting, I go straight to his office and I said, oh, I need you now. Please, when you can make it. Can we meet in 5 minutes or 10 minutes? But that's me. And that are my skills that I also learn with life. Okay, when people talk about their situation, usually that's the first step of resolving, because usually people get surprised. Like, really? I didn't know that you feel like that. I didn't know that hurt you so much. And somehow the tensions comes down, and that is the field for further steps. What can be the further step? For example, it can be, okay, so what do you suggest? Or how shall we go further? Or can you please do this differently so we improve our relationship? Sometimes somebody said to you, oh no, I'm not like that. usually there is a matter of personality, which is hard to change. So temperament, personal characteristics, those are things that are hard to change, but the skills are changeable. What are the skills? The way you listen to someone, the way you feel the empathy to someone, the way you communicate to someone. How do you use your voice, your gestures? That's the skills. So that is something that you can point to. So when you say, when you talk to me that loud, I feel insecure. Can you please try to change it? I would appreciate that so much. I do not guarantee 100% success, but usually you get surprised with what you get. Maybe you will get something. You will not get 100% of what you want, but usually only with the conversation, the relationship is starting to be better, because you open the topic, you open the volcano, you open the Pandora's box, and you feel better. You cannot influence the other people's change, but you influence that you feel better, you feel nicer, you express your feelings. So you feel like, oh my God, like I had a stone at my heart and now it just went away. So how does this sound to you? Does it make any sense? What are your feelings, thoughts, comments, anything? Anyone? Okay, so who would like to talk?
Ma'am,
Yes.
we can say that our behavior also create a conflict, because our words and our action also create a conflict. How we can handle this, ma'am?
Yes, it's a very good question. Thank you for posing it, because behavior is anything that we can change. That's the good thing in everything. We can't change the personality. And you never, when you have a conflict with someone, you don't shoot to etiquettes. You don't judge people like you are unresponsible, you are lazy, you are bad co-worker, but you should explain the behavior, because only behavior we can change. So when you are being late at our meetings, I feel kind of disrespectful, because I prepare, I come on time, there are other people waiting. Can you please try it and do it differently? Can you please try to come on time? So you're not asking him for blood to change. You're asking that person for changing the behavior. The behavior is also the way you treat someone, the way you share information with someone. Sometimes you feel like you don't have every information maybe that other people have, or maybe at the meetings you feel that someone who is leading the meeting is not asking you any questions, but asking other people. So you have in your mind, oh, that person has something wrong, something against me, which is not true. I know. Who knows why he or she doesn't look at you? But if that is taking too long, you can assume that something's going wrong. But then you can have a conversation and say, I appreciate your meetings. There are many good things that I hear that. But I have a a feeling, I have an impression. So that's not telling that you're 100% right, but I have an impression that you ignore me because you never talk to me, you never ask me a question, you never look at me. And that person maybe will say, oh my God, because you are sitting too close to me. It is so unnatural for me to turn myself like this. So it's easier for me to look at those people who are there and there and there. So that is behavior. And if you talk about it, that can be changed. So when you think about having conflict with somebody, if you have conflict with his or her opinion, I would say that is your problem. But if you have a problem with someone's behavior and you feel that that person is not behaving well towards you, then you have all the rights to talk to them and to ask for change. When I said it is your problem if you are not okay with other people's opinion, you have the right to say, well, I was never thinking about that, or I disagree. I strongly disagree. Maybe you will hear some opinions who are radical, misogynist or fascist or radical nationalist or something like that, and you don't like it. And even though you don't like it, you know it is not right. Still, you have the right to say, I disagree with you. I strongly disagree with you, because in my system of values, that doesn't fit. But you have to understand that there are people who think like that. And at the end of the day, they have the right to think whatever they want. Or if they say something which is against the law, then you don't argue with that person. You address it to the institution. So the right thing to do is not to have a conflict with the person which is not going to change the opinion, but you have the system. In some countries, this system doesn't work. That's the bad things. But you have the system to address the problem. To say, we have the professor at the university who is sharing violent content. Okay, more questions.
And do not take everything personally.
Of course, yes, that's the good advice. Maybe that can be the first step. When you hear someone is in a kind of conflict with you, you should, in yoga, we learn to kind of witness to the situation, to go out of your body, to stay here and to look from the above what's happening. I would suggest you in the situation of conflicts to try to go out from your body, to stay here and try first to look what's happening. If you are too emotional in that situation, you can say, I'm very emotional right now. I would like to postpone this meeting. Can we meet tomorrow? If you feel that you cannot handle situation rationally, or that you took the content too personally, that would not lead to constructive resolution of the conflict. So be aware of your emotions. Try to feel what's happening in your gut, in your mind. What are you thinking about? If you are too stressed or too tired, take care of yourselves first. More comments? So in your cultures, tell me, how do people perceive conflict? In your communities, are you taught to get into the conflict, or you are educated like avoid it?
Hi, good afternoon, Ma.
Hi,
Thank you so
hello.
much. Thank you so
You're
much for the insightful session. Um, in my community, I found out that sometimes people tend to get excited in the face of conflict, especially when it's happening in a public place. Sometimes instead of like separating the two parties involved, they'd rather just watch them or indulge them. Also, one of the peculiar things that happens when there's conflict over here is that you'd find that people would most likely prefer to settle it within the family, even when it's been blown out of proportion. Maybe a case of domestic violence, and these women are being coerced to just settle it inside without anybody knowing about it. So that's what happened. Some of the things that happens in the face of conflict.
Yeah, so that it's staying the kind of family thing. Are you
Yes.
talking about it? Yes, it is very, very, let's say, challenging to start to resolve the conflict, which is a kind of a family thing, and that somehow people, the family members, are aware that there is a conflict, but they are trying to put it under the carpet because they think if you start to work on it, something terrible will happen.
Yeah.
That is because we perceive conflict as something negative. Something negative. People will know what's happening in our house. But I would say if the conflict is kind of life-threatening, or someone's security is jeopardized, or you see that something is happening which is not good, you should try ask for help. So you should not expect from yourself to resolve it, because it is really hard. That is kind of the matter of the family. There are loads of emotions. You're influenced with everything you have. And it's not easy to have courage to step out and to ask for help. But sometimes that's the only exit. So I would say that the advices from professionals would help. It doesn't mean that the family will be ruined at the moment, but the professional can encourage you what to do and how to approach the situation. You understand? So maybe
Yes.
you need more power to deal with that. Maybe to learn how to handle that, what to do in this situation, how to help yourself. That's the big step. So maybe you should think to start from that, and don't expect from you to resolve the conflict that is lasting for years, that is maybe multi-layered. So there are many of people involved, many topics, maybe violence. I would never encourage you to go into the conflict and start to resolve it. It would be so naive from me. But I would like you to try to get help, to encourage yourself about what to do in that situation.
Thank you very much, Ma.
No, you're so welcome. Okay, we have one more question in the chat box. So, can conflict lead to disaster, and how it affects development? I'm not sure what did the person think about disaster, but I should try to interpret how did I understand this. And please, who wrote this, just interrupt me if I'm going to the wrong direction. So sometimes you may feel it will be disaster if you try to get involved into something that is conflict for years. So for you, your perception may be it is better to don't do anything rather than to try to go into the conflict, because if I say something, disaster will happen. So my experience tells me that usually those are people's fears that are not rational. That is our education, something that we were taught during the whole our life, that if we argue, that is something bad. If we say something, it is something bad. If I say I don't want to do that, that is bad. It is not correctly to do. So my experience taught me that actually disaster may be kind of disappointment. Yes, that can happen. Disaster may be kind of two people just go away one from another. That can happen. Some relationships can be broke. Yes, that can happen. But if you feel constant pain because of being in that situation, you have an inner conflict that will eat you inside. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but in the deepest place of my soul, I feel that always is better to get into it and expect you will, let's say, clean things. You will clean your relationships. You will know where you are at. You will know with who are dealing with. You will start to try for help. You will then not be alone anymore. So there are many things that can happen if you face the conflict. But usually I said you get surprised with the solution of it. You feel like deeping with the boat lungs, you know, you feel better. Sometimes you can feel sad because the resolution is not what you expect it to be. It's maybe worse. Maybe it will be worse for 1 day, 2 days, or 2 weeks. And then maybe that person will come and say, "Phew, I was thinking about it. You were right. Let's start to do that." And how can this disaster influence development? Well, for young children, for example, it is influencing their development if they are facing every day a family conflict. Conflicts which are quarrels or violence or things like that. So if the children or young people even are used to see that and live with the conflict, it can influence their further development, their skills, their reactions to frustrations, their reactions to conflict. They can be learned. So one day when they have their own families or they start to work and when they see the conflict, they will be taught to be silent, to do nothing. And they repeat the pattern. Unless one day someone stood behind or stood up and said, "It's enough. We have to do something."
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think that she must work on her emotional intelligence or emotional intelligence? If somebody have more emotional intelligence, can resolve the conflict or no? Because you have to accept other perspective, other behavior.
Yes.
Right or no?
Yeah, right, of course. Emotional intelligence is also the skill. It can be learned. That's good. So we don't get born with that.
I
So we
learned
learn,
about it.
yes,
I learned about emotional intelligence, how
great.
yes.
First, how to deal with your emotions. So that was I was talking about that a few moments ago. What I was saying, that you should stood up, something like go out from your body and take a look at you. So look at you. How do you feel? If you are too stressed or too sad, you should be aware of your emotions and deal it. That's emotional intelligence. And also, when you are talking to someone who is not emotionally intelligent, that's maybe not the good background for conversation, you know? So if you are emotionally intelligent and trying to solve the conflict with someone who is not, you should be aware that maybe there would not be such a good conflict resolution, because that person will take your words personally. And it's not up to you. Your responsibility is only 50%. But sometimes we take 100%. We give too much meaning to ourselves sometimes. And we think that with our skills, we can deal with anything, that we can resolve any problems just because we have skills. But remember, our responsibility, our part of the path is only 50%. And if there is not 50% of effort from the other side, you should involve somebody or have less expectations of that intelligence is a main, let's say it's a great background for constructive conflict resolution. Let me read one more question. And
Sorry, but yes, for sure,
yeah.
because when you go to a company to make a meeting, they do IQ test, but they have to do EQ, emotional intelligence,
Oh.
because they have to know how to deal with the employees, right?
Yes, that's good.
Or not?
Well, EQ is the test of emotional intelligence. You don't have to do tests, but there are other techniques that you can actually test. How do people react? So you know, are they emotionally intelligent or not? Yes, that's the good point, of course. Okay, what's the difference between controlling your emotions and suppressing them in the face of conflict? Suppressing them means that you feel that you are sad or hurt with something that someone said, but you don't want to show it. You suppress them in a way that you don't want the other person to see it. That means suppressing. What means controlling? Controlling means, okay, saying to myself, I'm so upset right now because that person, so this is inner speak, okay? So I'm so upset right now because this person is not listening to me. He's only repeating what he has to say. He's not listening to me. So I'm feeling very upset, unrespectful, and sad. So, but what I do in that situation is trying to address my feelings. So I said, sorry, I have to say to you something. The way you talk to me is not respectful. So if I say something, I would like you to listen to me, not to interrupt to me. If you can respect that, we can continue. If not, I would like to postpone this meeting for some other time. That's being responsible for yourself. That's being responsible and controlling your emotions. So if you hear something that makes you sad so much, that you hear some bad news or something, and you feel like you want to cry or anything like that, you have to control it in a way that you say, this blow my mind now. But I will not suggest you to do that because I don't know, is it acceptable in your professional communication? You know, people usually don't talk like that. People usually feel like shocked or don't want to talk anymore, and the conflict becomes deeper and deeper. What my process of learning is going in that direction, to become aware of what I feel right now, to be responsible for my feelings, and to try to address that and communicate with the person at the other side. How does this sounds to you? And we can maybe, Maheen, start to close the session right now, or do we have more time, or what should we do? Because we just took more time than.
We can stretch the session for 5 more minutes because they have another session.
Okay.
In 10 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, so maybe just few more comments or any feedback for this content that you heard, any feedback for me, for what I was talking about. Was this useful for you, or was this just the rubbish? And I would tell you, if you don't find this useful, just forget it, or just take the pieces that you find useful for you. So any comments for the end of this webinar?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so 2 persons we have here. Who will go first? Rafida?
Yes, ma'am, it's all over good and fruitful for us because we learn more things and we understand all our conflicts and how we can handle the situation. We learn more things, ma'am. Thank you for your time and your information, ma'am.
Great. Thank you, Rafida. I'm so happy because of that. Great.
Thank you so much. It was very, very interesting.
Okay. Thank you,
Nice,
Lillian.
nice to meet
Thank
you.
you for your session. Sorry, Dania, can you say again?
Thanks for your informative session that you provided today.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your participation. It wouldn't be like that if you didn't interact. Okay. Anyone else?
Hello, ma'am. Thank you very much for the class. Sorry I came late, bird. The last few minutes was awesome because I'm doing something like conflict management, so it was quite in line. Thank you.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you for reaching us. Great. Someone else? I think that Rigoberto, did you want to say something at some point?
Yes,
I was kind of, okay.
Yeah, I would like to give some comment regarding your sharing, because I think when we talk about conflict, it's very important that we understand the root causes of the conflict, and then we try to address it, because I think it's very common, whether in the workplace or in the social world, we tend to face conflicts. So I think it's important that we learn about conflict management. So thank you very much for your sharing your experiences.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for participating and your feedback. Great. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Maheen?
Thank you, dear Snezana. And we are really excited you're back. And I hope you're taking care of yourself as well. So this is our little team of internees. And I hope they will stay in touch with you as well. Thank you, Snezana.
Yeah.
And
thank you for reaching me out. I was really enjoying in the interaction and discussion, and I'm happy I'm back. And thank you again, all of you. I'm so happy that you are in the program. So I hope that there will be a chance for us to meet and talk in vivo.
Thank you, dear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
See you all.
See you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.